Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing building the Estes BOSS. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to attach the two, I guess we'll call them fins. One is just like a connection piece between the tube and the big circular disc, which is just sitting, waiting to be used, and the other is like a genuine fin. But before we do that, there's one other little bit of work that I'm going to do quickly, and that is, well, I'm going to cut this stuff out, but there's one piece here that I'm going to cut out now just so we have it done, and it's quick. This is just a little rectangle. That is a standoff, and we're going to use that for attaching the launch lug. So I'm going to do that in this video as well. That should take no particular time whatsoever. It is a very quick little bit, but it would be a good idea to get that done before you need to do the actual attachment there. Okay. Looks like I missed a burr on the top somewhere. There we go. Alright, so there are still quite a few pieces in that, so I'm not going to lose that. Off it goes. Let's deal with that launch lug first quickly. So the launch lug's in here somewhere. There it is. So all we really need to do with this is just glue it on. There is a little burr in this. In fact, there are two burrs in this, so let's deal with that too. We have to deal with burrs on all these things, I guess. So just a quick little sand, solely to get that burr off. And then, oops, a little bit of glue. This is going to stand up vertically, so just make sure you're putting it on the right face. Spread the glue out just to make sure it's a nice even coat. I'm not going to bother using 2 layers of glue this time. It doesn't really seem like it's worth it. And then just stick them together. Obviously you want this to be aligned, that's not terribly difficult to do. I'm just going to hold it for a little bit. Once the glue is mostly set, then I can make sure that it is indeed centered and perpendicular and all that stuff. This is a pretty low precision bit of work though. Oh, that's interesting. This piece of wood is very warped, or at least it was not straight at all when I attached it. Well, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. I'm going to try to bend it back ever so gently. That looks better. It's possible that I warped it the way I was holding it because it is so small, so thin. It would not be very hard for that to happen. Alright, so that is good. That's just going to sit and dry for a little bit. Now the other 2 pieces I cut out are the fins. I am going to again sand off the burrs. And top. Now this one, since it is an actual regular fin, I'm gonna shape that. But that's actually all I think I'm going to do. I'm not going to shape this one. What I am going to do is lightly sand the top of this like so. Just to mostly get rid of those burrs. That doesn't matter terribly. This is going to fit together like this. That might actually require a bit of work. There we go. Yeah, it fits. That's going to fit together like that, but we're not going to put this together. This is going to get glued to the tube, and then we'll attach the circular bit. It was good to dry fit it, though. Alright, I'll close the glue for a moment. Alright, so let's shape this fin. This is the leading edge. This is the root. This is the top. So I'm just going to round the leading edge, probably the tail edge. somewhere between 10 and 15 passes is probably good, at least to start. And I'll take a peek and see what shape we've got. It should be round, obviously. It should be fairly symmetrical. That would be good. The middle tends to get not very well shaped in my experience. Sometimes that needs some extra work. Taking a peek. You can look down like that. It looks, yeah, this back edge here is a little aggressively done on this side, but it's fine. I'm going to do the back. Looks reasonable. This did get a little shaggy, so I'm just going to kind of gently sand around the edge to get rid of any of the balsa fibers that got dislodged there. And that's probably good enough. Alright, I can live with that. Now let's attach. That's going to be the remainder of the work here. Now, in the time between this video and the last, I did take the where is it? Well, it's a little piece. There it is. This is our line guide, and there are a lot of lines, but there's a top and a bottom, T and a B. Those are the ones that we're going to deal with today. There are two fin lines. That's where these pods are going to get attached, I believe. And then there are a whole lot of other lines that are just for little decorative bits we're going to put on later. So I've marked all these, and then I use the door jamb to extend the lines. They do need to go the whole way because the fins are back here, for the little decorative bits that most of the lines for are going to be all the way up here. There is one other little thing I need to do before I start attaching, and that is I need to measure on the one labeled B. I need to measure 1/4 of an inch because that bottom fin is not going to be right at the end. So here's the one I've got labeled B, and I'm just going to mark off 1/4 of an inch, which is right about there. Okay. While I'm thinking about it, that launch lug bit, that needs to get attached too, and that's going to end up being 3.5 inches from the far end and more or less on the top line. Not exactly, but pretty close. So there's T. And I'm going to line it up with the fin. Well, I'm going to put the mark on the line next to it. So this is, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, everything's lined up, and again, I need 3.5 inches. So 1, 2, 3.5. So it should be in there somewhere. All right, good enough. I think those are all the measurements I really need to be doing at the moment. Let me just double check that with the instructions here. Well, it looks like the fins too, the tubes, they need to be at 1/4 an inch from the end as well, so might as well mark that as well. So fin, that's an F. It should be there. Oh shoot, that's the wrong line. Not that one, but next. This one. There we go. Alright. And then this one. Okay. Alright, great. Measurement's done. Let's actually start gluing stuff on. It doesn't really matter where we start. I think I'm going to use this one because it is smaller, it has less mass, it's got a lot of surface area, so this one, knock on wood, should be easier to attach. It should be less willing to flop around. Okay, using the typical approach that we do, I'm going to put a layer of glue on here. I'm going to let it sit for the better part of a minute. Half a minute, 30 seconds, and then I will attach the remaining glue. It should be facing this way, so it's going to be pointing forwards rather than backwards, so I just need to make sure that I get that and get in the right direction. And this one's also going to go on T. This is the top. I mean, to some degree, it doesn't really matter, T and B, except for the fact that the fins are all going to go, they're going to go near the bottom fin rather than the top fin, and they're staggered by 2 lines. But still, it's labeled for a reason. Let's just try to follow that, because otherwise, well, I don't want to do anything dumb. The directions are written for a reason, to avoid you doing, well, to minimize the likelihood that you are going to do something dumb. Is it going to stop every dumb thing you could potentially do? No, absolutely not. But hopefully it keeps it to a minimum. Alright, so there's my second layer of glue. Here's my top line. This one does go all the way to the end, so that's easy enough. I'm going to start right at the end. I'm going to try to center it, and then I'm just going to roll it forward and hold it. I'm actually going to scoot it ever so slightly up, so that way I can see that line to see if I have it centered or not, because I'm pretty sure I do not have it. Yeah, I do not have it centered, kind of at all. I can also feel that I have twisted the wood here a little bit. You know, it's balsa. It's not the thinnest balsa I've ever worked with, but you can definitely, you can twist it. You can put a curve into it if you aren't careful, especially on these long, fairly thin pieces. So I'm definitely going to have to check that as soon as I'm confident in the glue holding. Okay, let's take a look. Well, it's definitely not on straight. It's not even close. So I'm going to roll it a little bit so that it's close to perpendicular. And then let's check how well it is centered on the line. Well, the front needs to be adjusted a little bit. That's alright. And the back's fine. Smear that glue. Eventually that's going to get a fillet. But for the time being, that seems like a decent place to start. Let's check to see if that, if I ended up putting a curve in this or not. I don't think I did. I mean, I did, but I think I straightened it out. It looks pretty straight at this point. I'm going to check the long axis as well. Need some little minor fine-tuning adjustments here, and it's still it's straighter now. I think part of it is when I sanded the very top of it to get rid of those burrs, I didn't perfectly sand it, so the top looks, it's not, it has a little bit of a, you know, it's not quite straight. It should be like this. It's a little like this. So that's a little misleading, but it looks okay for now. I'm gonna try to leave that just vertically like so, not bump it while I'm messing around with the next bit of glue. And then should be able to check the final alignment once I've got both fins on. It's a little bit easier, at least I think it is, to figure out if you got things on straight when you have a frame of reference, so you have another fin to compare against. Now these are going to be completely opposite to each other on the tube, so they should also be at 180 degrees from each other. I can use the grid line on my mat to check that. There isn't actually, sometimes there's like a shadow diagram in the instructions. There doesn't appear to be one, and even if there were, I don't, you know, there's a ton of other stuff that needs to go on anyway, so it wouldn't really be useful at this point one way or the other. Alright, that's probably enough time waiting for the glue to begin to set here, so let's add in the next layer. I'm going to go very thin. I had a bit too much last time, so it did smear out a decent amount. Okay. So this is going to go like so. It's going on the line that says B, and it's supposed to be 1/4 of an inch from the end. I've got that marked. So I'm putting it at that line, and then rolling it forward, and holding. This doesn't feel like it's on straight either, but that's going to be something that I will adjust after the glue is mostly set, so it doesn't just flop around. Now this is going to be horribly unbalanced, right? There's a way more weight on up as I'm holding it right now than there is on down, so this is not going to want to stand up by itself. And it's not going to stand up at all one way or the other, because, or from the bottom anyway, because this fin leads out past the end of the body tube, which is, you know, it's fine. That's what it's supposed to do, but I'm not going to be able to just stand this up really at all, but definitely not on the back end. So we will have to find a way to hold it in place. Alright, so I've smoothed out the glue as best I can. Let's check for alignment. It's not particularly aligned as far as I can tell. It doesn't look very straight. It needs to come this way a little bit. Not much, it's not that bad. Now let's check the alignment between this, the top and the bottom. They are not aligned, like, at all. The bottom, I think, was the main offender here. So we can still adjust that. The glue is still pliable down there. Alright, now I've eyeballed it, but let's actually check using the grid. Now again, this isn't, I can't stand it up because the tail is going to run past the bottom of the tube. That's supposed to happen again. This is kind of hard to check this way, but it looks decent. We can check it this way too, but this is again more of an eyeball. Yeah. The other thing you can do is you can get a straight edge out and just kind of prop them, and you can't have them touch. If this were more than one fin, you could have them like literally touch each other and see. It looks a lot better now. I can live with this. And just even kind of looking down the barrel, it looks like they're at 180 degrees from each other. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. Here's how I'm going to do it. I have got my glue bottle. Let's make sure there's no glue on the tip. I'm going to just, let's put it this way. I'm going to plop the tube just down over top of it. It's probably, yeah, I mean, it's going to tilt, it's going to drift, whatever, that's fine. Let's see if I can actually get it stable. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to try to keep it stable. It's going to tilt, and that's fine. But it's not going to fall down right now, which is good. It's good because the air is running in here, heat, and it would just get blown around by the air moving around my room. So this is a good choice to keep things stable. Alright, so that's going to dry. Once that is nice and dry, then it will be a time to attach the pods and probably that launch lug structure that we built too. So that'll require some downtime here, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.